Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video. This time to talk about the latest game I beat, which is Zombie Army 4 A Dead War. And as you guys know, it's Halloween season, and so I am reviewing a zombie game. Perhaps not a full-fledged horror game, but still somewhat adheres to the spirit of Halloween by featuring enemy hordes of scary zombies. So yeah, I had a pretty good time playing Zombie Army 4. Which was developed by Rebellion, which is the developer that also created games like Strange Brigade and of course the Sniper Elite games. And in fact, this game is actually based on the Sniper Elite game engine, and originally based on a spin-off title of the Sniper Elite series that feature zombies. So for me personally, I never played any of the previous Zombie Army games. I did play the Sniper Elite games. I believe I played 3 and maybe 4. I forgot the exact numbering, but they were offered through Game Pass. But as far as the Zombie Army games, I remember I was very close to buying Zombie Army Trilogy, which is the previous game, on the PlayStation 4, and in fact I did purchase it at one point, but I remember that Walmart, for whatever reason, was not able to fulfill my order. You know, even though I purchased the game, they got back to me and said, you know, the game was not in stock or something. So I never was able to play a Zombie Army Trilogy. So Zombie Army 4 Dead War is definitely my first proper stab at the series, and as I mentioned, I was very impressed with how fun the game was. This particular game was released earlier in 2020 for the PS4, Xbox One, and also PC, and then offered to Stadia Pro subscribers, I believe in the month of May of 2020. So as a subscriber, I jumped on board and played the game as soon as that it was offered in the service. And then I probably completed the first 4 chapters and played a decent amount of online horde mode, which is super fun and addicting. But then I got sidetracked and stopped playing the game up until recently, like around the end of the month of September, where I decided to pick up the game up again and finish the campaign mode, and you know, perfectly themed for this October month of Halloween. So very glad I was able to beat this game just a couple of days ago. Now, as far as the story, this is not the most interesting or engaging story out there. Basically, in this game, the Survivor Brigade from previous games has to take up once again up on Hitler and the Dead Army that has once again risen. It is up to basically the resistance to put a fight and uncover the enemy's new sinister plan through different locations across Europe in the 1940s, you know, during the World War. So you know, the cool thing about the story is that, you know, the story mode can be played in co-op mode as well, and it's broken into 9 chapters that in turn are broken into 4 sections. So you basically have to reach a safe house on each level to end each section. And again, there are like 4 sections per chapter, with the exception, I believe, of the last chapter that it may only have like two sections. But yeah, no, it's definitely fun. The story mode takes about 12 to 15 hours to complete, and the game definitely doesn't take itself seriously. It definitely has that B-movie type of cheesiness attached to it, but I think you know, that's part of the charm of the story of this game. Now, graphically, the game looks great, and since I played this through Stadia, the game was running to what I believe was the max settings of the game, and what it looked like, the game looked in full 4K resolution. And I know the footage that I recorded and you guys see on screen right now, it's probably not on par with the resolution, because I had to compress the videos and all that to make it work and put it on my video here. But the game ran at a solid 60 frames per second, and as I mentioned in other previous Stadia games that I played, the game ran buttery smooth. You know, it's one of those experiences that made me appreciate the Stadia service even more, and it's surreal that you don't need anything like a powerful console. Basically, all you need is just a good internet connection to have a game like this up and running on max settings, and it looks great on your TV screen or monitor or cell phone. You know, whenever you want to stream the game, this game performed extremely well. The atmosphere and the scenery of this game was also great. Obviously, everything is themed around the 1940s World War period. But in addition to the war-affected, buildings, the game adds that horror element, with blood stains and bloods and guts scattered everywhere along the levels. Pretty cool special effects as well, such as fire, lighting, and fog effects that are present throughout the game. And I guess we'll move on into the sound department now. The game has extensive voice acting that it's pretty cool because it varies depending on the character that you choose. I personally decided to go with a DLC character. I figured since I'm getting the game quote-unquote for free as part of my subscription, they were selling one of the DLC characters for like $3, and that character was Hector, which it's kind of ironic because he's a zombie character himself. His backstory is that he got resurrected and he was able to convince the army that he had a good cause. So kind of like a funny backstory there for the game. And it's funny because he's a zombie, but he's fighting the zombies at the same time, and all while maintaining like this English accent and kind of like humor with very funny dialogue. So yeah, pretty good on the voice acting and the sound department, also with eerie soundtrack and pretty good weapon and sound effects in general. As well as enemy sounds, when the zombies, scream or those sounds were also pretty good. Now, as far as the gameplay, this is where the game shines, in my opinion. The game has a very addicting third-person shooter action that invites the player to build up very long combos by defeating, the horde of zombie enemies using different types of weapons. You have your classic handgun, which is kind of like your last resort type of weapon, although I was using I forgot the name, but it was a revolver that once you start modding the revolver, it became like a very powerful weapon. And then you have your primary and secondary weapons. Your primary is basically your kind of like your sniper rifle. That's what you use for long range encounters, which this game does feature zombie snipers, so pretty useful to also upgrade those and get a good sight in order to have good headshots from enemies that are located far away. And then you have your secondary weapon, which are basically you can choose weapons like a shotgun, which are good for close combat encounters, or like automatic weapons like submachine guns. I personally use one of the submachine guns that when it was fully upgraded, it was very, very overpowered. So that was pretty fun to use that secondary weapon. And of course, you also have you can carry grenades, different types of grenades that have different effects. Like fire grenades and electricity grenades and all that. And you can also use melee attacks, to push the enemies, or you can charge special brawl attacks that can actually take down some of the bigger enemies, but they have a cooldown period or effect, which is adds to the strategy on how you chain your combos together with the enemies. And also the game features even some environmental items that can be used to defeat enemies or a group of enemies, such as like fuel barrels, electricity, gas canisters, and among other environmental items that are pretty cool to use. It's very easy to build up combos, although I do have to admit I don't feel like I played this game properly or as intended. And what I mean by that is that the game actually gives you plenty of ammo, plenty of grenades. You can tell when a big fight is about to come up with, because you can have, you see that there are unlimited ammo, like chests scattered through the areas. You know, even though the game gives you plenty of ammo and grenades and all that, I was always a little bit on the conservative side, thinking, you know, I'm gonna be facing tougher enemies, and so I kind of wish I just kind of let myself go a little bit and just use more heavy weaponry and heavy power. But nevertheless, it was fun building the combos and defeating the zombie enemies along the game. The game also features a very good upgrade system of weapons, as well as skills that can be unlocked by leveling up the character. You can level up your character through the campaign mode or even the online horde mode. So it feels like a win-win situation to play this game. You know, you can play a couple of missions by yourself in campaign mode, and then you can jump in online mode, you know, like a horde mode or something, which is extremely fun and addicting. I found myself, I put a pretty good number of hours playing the online mode with, you know, just random people, and it was pretty fun to do that, and, you know, leveling up and getting new items and whatnot. Now the enemies types are varied and include, you know, your standard zombies. You have the summoner type zombies that are always a pain in the ass because you have to kill them, make sure they're dead, otherwise it keeps summoning other zombies. You have sniper zombies, as I mentioned. You have the heavy zombie units, suicide runners that, you know, can explode and deal a lot of damage to you. And then you have the, you know, the heavy units that have weapons like turret, guns, and flamethrowers, and those are the ones that are very hard to take. They're almost like mid bosses or mini bosses, if you will. That are, you know, heavily equipped with weaponry, so you have to be smart about it. You have to be able to find good cover or use your grenades and all that in order to take them down. And they even have some like screamers, which are, I guess, maybe inspired by kind of like the Last of Us enemies, which I thought was pretty cool. And as long as you're silent, you know, they're not gonna hear you. But as soon as you make a noise, you know, they're very tough to defeat. And of course, they also added some unique types of enemies, or I guess weapons. They have some demon armored tanks, and that are very fun to take in the later missions. You know, it's like a mobile unit where you have to take off the armor first before you can deal damage to the actual tank, and so that was pretty fun as well. It would have been nice if they had more variety besides your regular zombies. Like, for example, there's a zoo level in the game where it would have been nice, in my opinion, if they have some kind of like Resident Evil, you know, like zombie dogs or zombie, you know, lions or whatever. I think it would have been a good breakup of the traditional, you know, human, I guess, zombie enemies, but you know, nevertheless, I think the variety is there, and it's pretty well used throughout all the levels. And of course, talking you know, on the gameplay front, you know, the game provides objectives that are given that you have to complete in each level. These are very simple and straightforward. You know, you have your markers on the screen that tell you where to go. So it's pretty easy to accomplish these objectives. Then, you know, typically you have to do very simple tasks. You know, just go to a certain point in the level, activate switches, survive a zombie horde, and things like that. Nothing too crazy. And I guess one gameplay aspect where the game kind of falls short is that there are no like puzzles to solve, as opposed to Strange Brigade, which is another game by Rebellion. So it wasn't an overly difficult game. I played this on normal difficulty, and I felt, you know, while the game throws a ton of enemies at you in the later chapters, upgrading weapons and upgrading your character's skills helps tremendously in this game. And therefore, you know, that ends up making the game fairly easy towards the end, even though the game throws a ton of enemies that are tougher, you know, like heavy units and things like that. As long as you upgrade your weapons, as long as you level up, you're always going to find yourself having a good time with your upgraded weapons, and that can definitely make the game easier towards the end. And overall, my thoughts on Zombie Army 4 is that it's a great game. highly recommend it because it's just mindless fun. You know, it's a type of game that you can pick up and play. Just play very short mission segments. You know, complete just sections of each chapter, or jump online and play with random people. No matter what you do, I think it's just mindless fun. And on top of that, I think the game offers great replay value through its multiplayer, and they also have weekly events that are offered every week. And of course, I think they also released a season pass, which it adds a lot more of new content to the game. So overall, guys, again, I had a pretty good time with Zombie Army 4. Highly recommend it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later. Take it easy.